So, Jim, how old were you when you started your first business venture?
Well, I'll go way back to when I was a little kid.
A kid,
Okay.
okay?
A little kid. In other words, probably 11, 12 years old, I started selling candy, now and laters to be specific, to my friends in school.
Okay, so
So that would be my first business adventure.
okay, so when you say sell candy, like, because sometimes people have sold candy, or maybe
Yes.
like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts type stuff, but you had your
Yes.
own side hustle of
Big
selling.
time.
Okay, so how big time was it?
I was selling more than a case of these a week.
Okay,
So I started out, I would buy just a packet of now and laters, open the packet, sell them by the piece.
okay,
Then I realized that right down the road from where I live, there was a business called Milford Wholesale Grocery.
okay. So you
I
could get the
went
now
down
laters cheaper.
there and I bought a case of them.
Oh my gosh.
So now
Okay.
I'm buying them wholesale, and then I got in trouble in school.
What'd they do? They take him
They called
away?
my mom and said he's in here selling stuff.
Oh,
He's supposed to be going to school. So then they started a school store. Took my idea. Started selling the kids pencils
and candy?
and erasers
Oh.
and golly day. I'm like, daggone it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Yes, yes.
So you've
yes.
had that spirit since you were
Absolutely.
a kid.
Yes.
And then you told me that you bought your first business. You were under 18.
Yes. I started actually working at 9 years old at a tire store called Maypop Tire Company.
Okay.
They may pop, they may not. He sold used tires.
The risk is
okay?
on the buyer.
Right. The risk is on the buyer, no question, and the driver. So, but with that said, so then at about 16 years old, he went out of business.
Okay. You were 16.
And I had been working for him from 9 to 16, okay? Still going to school and everything, but working there. So I bought his business at 16 years old. And I started a tire business called Weller's Tire Service. But I could not get a business license because I was only,
16.
but yet I was paying taxes sooner than that.
So they took
So
the
I could file tax returns and pay taxes, but I couldn't get a business license at
So
16.
so you had
So my mom went and got the business
your mom
license.
got the business
Yep.
license.
So that's where the legitimate having a business called Weller's Tire Service, Inc. Well, it might not have been incorporated then because I didn't know about that then. But it was
Okay.
Weller's
We
Tire
were
Service.
Weller's Tire Service.
And so we bought Maypop's business, not the property. Bought the business. And then by the time I was 20, I ended up buying the property.
Wow.
And,
So when you were 9 going to work,
Yes.
how did you get to work?
Oh, I walked.
From-
So Milford to Lincoln.
Okay.
Right down the highway. 50 cents a day, and I loved it.
Every day?
Every day. Well, as many days
After
as
school?
I could. Yeah,
Yeah.
after school or summer, things like that. So, yes,
You walked
And then-
to work.
walk to work. And then during school, people, even some teachers will attest to this, that I used to pay people to do my schoolwork. It was no secret. In other words, I went to school, but I might not have been at school, in other words. And I used to write notes, saying, please excuse Jimmy, because he's got to work today.
Did you sign your
see?
mom's name?
No, I signed Jim Weller.
You
Because
signed
it was
Jim.
legit. My name was Jim Weller. In
Yeah.
other words, so
Yeah.
there is a lady around Milford that was one of my teachers. She said, Jim, I used to watch you. You would write the note and walk right up to me and hand
And
it
the
to
note.
me. Yep. And she said, I just knew you were going to amount to something. I said, I'm working on it.
Yeah, you were
Sooner
driven.
or later, I will. So,
Wow.
and I was going to quit school. And I went to quit. And my mom begged me not to. In other words, she said, please don't quit school, graduate. So my mother passed when I was 16. But
Oh,
before
wow.
that, I was going to quit school. And I went to the principal. I'm like, well, how much money have you made this year? And he said, I've made about $38,000. This is the principal. I said, well, gee whiz, that doesn't excite me. You know what
I'm not going to do that.
Right. I'm not going to, I don't need it. If that's all you're making is the principal, top dog here,
Oh.
and
Find something else.
yeah, I even remember I had promised my mom I would finish school and graduate, which I did. And that's when I started paying people to do the schoolwork. I was like, I can't afford to be here. In other words, and I have had many businesses and many hustles and things that I did by the piece and made money. And I mean, when I was 16, 17 years old, I was making $200 a day. I mean, in other words, I've been very fortunate, very blessed. I don't even like to use the word fortunate. In other
Blessed,
words,
yeah.
I believe that, God was blessing me way before I even knew God was blessing me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I used to think I was good, and then I realized I was blessed.
Yeah.
Big difference.
That is a big difference.
Big
Wow.
difference. So,
So we are here with Jim Weller.
Jim Weller. That's Jim, not Gym.
Yeah, Jim.
Jim Weller.
The Jim Weller at the Wellers Complex here in Bridgeville, which sells utility trailers.
Yeah, sheds,
and
carports, trailers, everything.
Services them,
Yep,
all that kind of
parts,
stuff.
service, repair.
But it's interesting looking back to what
Right, 'cause
started
it
all
started
this.
in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Lincoln City, in other words,
Yeah.
Weller's Tire Service.
So I would say that you're very successful now. I know you have a
Reasonably, yeah.
radio station, and you have a lot going on here.
Electronic billboards.
Real estate billboards,
Yeah.
real estate investments,
Yeah.
a lot of investment
Yeah.
properties. But what did life look like growing up? How did I know you just kind of shared a little bit of that, but how did that mindset shape who you are today?
Okay, well, working at Maypops, in other words, I learned a lot about working. Before that, I actually used to help my dad, who was a plumber. Working
Okay.
with my dad, I got paid by the hour.
With your dad?
Right. At Maypop, I either got paid by the day or by the piece.
Okay.
And I learned very early on, I'm not an hourly guy.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't want any limits.
That's interesting.
I want to be limitless.
Yeah.
So I can remember working at Maypops where I was in my early teens or just a kid and dismounting. So you would take a tire off of a rim. That's called dismounting it with a tire machine. You would have to break the bead and all this. And I could do 200 a day at 15 cents a piece.
Right.
Now I went from making 50 cents a day to $30 a day.
Right.
Now
so
I'm a millionaire.
You upped your game. There was no
Big time.
limits on the amount you could do.
Right. He didn't care how hard I worked.
Yeah.
In other words, and then I graduated from doing car tires to truck tires, tractor trailer tires.
Was that more money?
$1 a piece.
Okay.
And I could do 200 a day.
That's 200 a day.
A day.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. So,
wow.
And a lot of this was centered around, the recycling of cars, the recycling of trucks, a tractor trailer. The tractor would have 10 tires and wheels on it.
Yeah.
So if they were junking one and cutting it up and scrapping it out and pulling the motor out, there's 10 tires and wheels. So you get the tire off the wheel so the tire can be sold separately from the wheel. And before that, it was car tires. They were crushing cars, and every car had 4 tires plus a spare.
And
they
took
took
the tires
those off, so I was taking the tire off the wheel so they could sell the tire, and then they could sell the wheel or scrap the wheel.
Wow. And
Yes.
back then, was it very busy?
Oh, because before I started doing it, because to them I was doing it for peanuts.
Yeah.
Nobody was going around to junkyards saying, "Hey, can I work this hard for 15
For
cents?"
15 cents.
Yeah. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
other words, so I actually went as a teenager. I a few years back, many years now, I met the banker that lent me the money for this machine. But I bought a machine called a wheel crusher that looks like a log splitter. So a log splitter has one hydraulic ram. The wheel crusher had 3 of them.
Okay.
Okay.
To kind of
And- yep.
crush the tire.
And you would put a tire and wheel in it. You would push a lever and it had a gasoline motor, and it would crunch that tire and wheel up real small. So the wheel became number 1 steel instead of when it was a wheel, it was number 2 steel. So it became more valuable.
Yeah.
And it also
At the
became
junkyard.
easier to put more on a load. It ruined the tire. It broke the beads
Yeah.
in the tire. We could do 4 a minute at 25 cents a piece.
With the machine.
With the machine.
Okay.
Yep.
And you got a loan for that.
I got a loan, and I met the banker years ago now, and he said his father owned a junkyard in Georgetown, and he was a banker. He said he remembers his dad calling him up saying, "There's this kid going to come in. I don't care how old he is, give him the loan."
Wow.
Because I was under 18.
Wow. But he
was
probably
under-
knew how hard you worked.
He
knew you were good for it.
Yes, everybody, even yes. Even when I bought the property in Lincoln,
Yeah.
I remember buying that building and that land for $45,000. Thought it was millions.
When you were
And-
16.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, maybe 18 or 19
Okay,
at that point.
okay.
Because I bought the business at 16,
And then
the
the
land
property.
at 18 or
Okay.
19. I still own it today.
Yeah.
But I remember even that individual financed it for me.
Seller financing.
Even where I lived, Denise and I bought 30 acres of land before we were 20. That person financed it for me. Everybody
Seller financing.
saw something in me
Yeah.
to where they were very eager and quick to say, "We'll fund you. We're going to help you."
They weren't worried about getting the payment.
Not the least.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Wow.
it's been
That's something to
so
be said.
interesting, in other words, you know. And but started in business was in the tire business for many years, and it was good. We sold tires and wheels and things. But even before owning the tire store and being real involved in that, I went around and did this thing where I take tires and wheels off in junkyards and had the wheel crusher. And then I started a business hauling junk tires, hauling them.
To the junkyard?
Yeah, we hauled them to dirt pits.
Okay.
So a junk tire was a nuisance. It was a nuisance.
Right.
So I bought trucks, and we would load these tires on a truck, 800 tires, and then we would go to a dirt pit who had a big hole to fill, and we would dump the tires in the dirt pit, in other words, and get paid. So
you got paid from the people that
wanted
wouldn't
them
get
hauled.
rid of the tires.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I paid the dirt pit to let me dump them.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
my gosh.
So if someone met you back then, what would they never believe about where you are now?
Many people were very skeptical, in other words, didn't know how this was all gonna work out. But again, I was young. Mom died at 16. My dad died when I was about 19. I got willed $5. I inherited my sister and my grandmother the same day my dad died.
Yeah, I remember you telling me you took care of your sister,
left,
younger sister.
Right, because he had a girlfriend. He left everything to the girlfriend. My grandmother lived in a house that my dad owned, so she had to get out of her house.
So you and your sister didn't get anything?
We got the opportunity to be stronger.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we got. In other words, because what doesn't break you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And we were already rolling by this.
Yeah.
In other words, it was sad. I remember going to the front yard of my mom and dad's house and buying my family's stuff at auction.
Wow.
A friend of mine was reminding me recently. He said, they sold your dad's suits with stuffs in his pocket and things like that was in them. They never cleaned them out.
They never even checked.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, some people think that when they see somebody being very successful that they kind of had a hand up in it or something like that.
And I did, though. All my hands up were a smack in the face, more or less. That was the hands up I got. In other words, and a lot of people said, you can't do that. It's not going to happen. Man, tell me no to something. It's like just saying, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody's no became my yes.
Yeah.
When people would say that's not going to work, it ain't going to work out, not being able to get a business license, just everything, and I've been just very fortunate. I met another lady that was a banker. I meet all these bankers because they remember me.
Yeah.
And she said, man, you used to come in with your checkbook and you'd write everything down. You were so meticulous with your bookkeeping and everything. And she said, I knew. She said, I knew that you were going to do something. Wow. So I've met 2 or 3 people that were bankers that knew me then. And,
wow.
So it's just been interesting. But again, even before I really knew that, I always knew there was God. I was raised Catholic and all of that, in other words. But I just never knew the role God was playing in my life. And I remember the day of my mom's funeral, I was sitting in the front seat of a car with the priest that was going to do the service. And he was a friend of the family. He married Denise and I.
Oh,
okay.
He
buried my mother, in other words. And he was just saying, the Lord will not allow more to come your way. And I don't even think this is in the Bible. I don't know where this is. But he just said, you'll get through it. And he said, remember the word through, because it implies you're already made progress.
Halfway there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just realized I could pretty much deal with a lot of things. And it's been heavy. Yeah. I mean, taking care of my sister, we ended up sending her to Colby College up in Maine, which is the one my mom went to and her grandmom went to, and she's continued her education at Holy Cross in Dover. We were able to handle all this.
I think I remember you telling me when you and Denise got married, you had your sister with you.
Kind of.
Yeah. Like,
we lived in a trailer in Cedar Village Trailer Park.
Yeah.
And I bought it off of Nick Del Campo, who owned Cedar Village Trailer Park, for like $6,700.
Yeah, wow.
We lived in the trailer park for a while. And then my sister lived with us a little bit, and then Denise got pregnant, and we decided we moved the trailer out to where we live. We got this 30 acres of land. We put in an in-ground pool and a garage, all the priorities, big satellite dish, and moved the house trailer.
It's a nice property.
And then we ended up, building the house, because now we had my sister, my grandmother, Denise is pregnant, and so on. But again, everything, it just was amazing.
That when people don't realize things get heavy, right? But
they
maybe they don't see it on,
Correct.
People are not seeing that on social media, things like that. They're only seeing the positives. But I think that a lot of people that know the Lord when things get heavy, we still keep our mind focused on the Lord.
And it's not your load to carry at that point.
Right.
It's almost like you don't need to carry it.
Right.
In
There's
other
not
words,
complaining and things
whining
like that.
and so on.
Yeah,
But
why me?
I've always been known. I mean, if you talk to anybody that knows me or knows of me, they know I'm good for a good 20-hour workday. Okay,
He'll get the job done.
I'll get the job because all I wanted was opportunities.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I know now. I mean, just recently you've started a new radio station, so
yes,
that's
I
a
always
whole nother
wanted-
level of work.
Right. I electronic billboards. I always wanted one.
Yeah.
So I bought one.
Yeah.
I always wanted a radio station. I mean, we bought it over the phone, sitting in the cab of my truck.
Yeah.
Me
Just
and
made the
Colin.
decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the guy just needed proof of funds. I called my banker. He sent the proof. 5 minutes later, we made the deal to buy a
was
radio
done.
station. Yeah. Having no idea how involved that could be.
Yeah.
That was different.
And you've been making it work.
Oh, we're making it work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got big plans for it. In other
Yeah.
words, so we're 2.5
More to
years
come.
into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is 102.3 Fine Day Radio, WNJD.
Yeah. 102.3.
yeah.
Fine Day Radio has the app, right?
Yeah, it has the app. It's
can
on
listen
the
from
Alexa
anywhere.
skill.
Yeah.
I could holler over there to Alexa and she'd turn it right on.
Turn on.
So-
And over the weekend we were listening to Yacht Rock.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
nice.
people love that.
Yeah.
That's been a big hit.
Very
And
nice.
it's conservative talk radio throughout the week. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
And we want to say thank you to Renee Edge, our local realtor,
Yes.
that has supported us almost from day one. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. And,
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
been an honor to be part of and see you grow.
Oh, thanks.
Your business and how you treat people and how you've treated me. I mean, I don't want to brag on you too much, but you've sold me a handful of properties.
Yeah.
And they've all been very nice transactions. I feel you've tolerated me well with many questions. And
I like
I like
questions.
all that. You do, because
Yeah.
I think we both learn and
I
we
want
both
you to be an
grow,
informed buyer.
I do.
Or
I
seller.
want to be one.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing about starting so young is people that have dealt with me said you do have a lot of questions.
That's
Because I
good.
do.
You want to understand what's
'Cause I
going
do.
on. Yeah.
And as I get older, I have even more questions because my rebound ability is not as great as it was when I was younger.
Yeah, let me make
so
sure
I want
this
to make
makes
more
sense.
calculated. Right, where when I was younger, I'd make a decision at 10 o'clock in the morning. By noon, I'd be changing my mind.
Okay.
In other words, where now it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Now it's not that easy.
So you mentioned I did help you with some properties, but you
Very
have
much helped
several rental properties.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number. I'm going to just say 30 for the moment.
Yeah,
In
I was
other
going to
words,
say, I know it's up there in the
Yeah.
20s. So
it's going to
yeah.
jump a lot this year because I've got many things cooking right this
Okay,
minute.
so you're still in the rental business?
Yes, I see it as a very good thing, and as you get a little older in life, you might not want to physically go do things. So I mean, I see, like I could talk to you and say, hey, find me a property that needs fixing up that I could fix up, turn around and resell. You can help me find it. You can help me sell it.
Right.
You have suggested people to do things that I've utilized. It's been
Oh, yeah.
real good.
Yeah, having some good contacts.
So having good people in
Yeah.
your corner makes a difference. In other words, and when you help me and I help you, we all grow.
Yeah, that's right.
We
That's
all
right.
grow. you
Right.
know.
Yeah, so the rental, do you have a property manager for your rental
No, I
property?
do it all myself.
You're
in
doing
other
it all.
words,
So if
yeah.
someone
In other
has
words-
a leaky pipe or something,
call me.
They're calling you.
Right. I do have a couple rentals that are managed through a company. I mainly use them to find me the tenants.
find the tenants.
They still collect the rent and all that, but once my tenants figure out who I am, they're communicating with me. Hey,
Yeah.
I got this problem. I'm in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry. We have a good rapport.
Yeah,
you
because
know.
some landlords like to turn it over to the property manager and then never
Yeah, I can't
hear
let
from them.
go.
But your
I'm a
phone
control.
number is out there.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
too easy
yeah.
to
So
find me.
you're-
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, you're not hiding.
Right. Yeah, there's no question. I used to joke. I used to say, just call 911 and tell them to track me down. Then people started doing it. So don't do that. Don't do that. But I'm very visible. I'm very out there.
Yeah.
I'm easy to find. I'm right at the front door church every week, greeting people. So,
So what makes a property a good rental property in your eyes?
okay. A lot of it has to do with how you're getting your money together.
Okay.
So first of all, my suggestion is anybody that already owns a home, get yourself what's it called, a home equity loan.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Pull
just
some
a
cash
handy
out of
thing.
it. Yeah.
Right. So that's like just sitting there.
Okay.
Because many of the properties I bought at auction, or I bought them where you get up with me and I don't have a lot of time to make up my mind. So knowing that you have the money ready makes a big difference. So before you even buy or figure out what to buy, do what you can to get your money ready. If you don't have a home equity line of credit, do you have friends that would lend you money?
Yeah.
Get that all established in advance myself, in other words, or get a relationship. I've also been fortunate. I've had a couple bankers that, kept me positioned with lines of credit and things like that. So getting the money and not having to worry about it is a big help. I mean, I've had friends that would lend me up to 300 grand. In other words, so.
And then they would be in on the deal with you, or just work
No,
out a
just
separate
be the lender.
Yeah, just be the lender.
Right.
Okay.
They would want a first mortgage on the property.
Okay.
In other words.
So
be ready.
be ready,
Be
preparing,
ready.
because then when the deal comes along, you don't have to figure all that out. You can just jump right on the deal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I've made a lot of mistakes buying properties without an inspection. Nowadays, I would highly recommend an inspection.
Yeah.
Little things like I didn't realize a 100 amp service won't run an electric stove and a heat pump and an electric dryer.
Right. It's not.
Yeah,
It's
gotta
outdated.
Be a 200. Right.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as looking in the fuse, or not the fuse box. If it's a
Yeah.
fuse,
The screw
you're
and
in big
fuses,
trouble.
you're
You're in big trouble there. But looking in the
Yeah.
breaker box and looking at the main one, and it either has 100 or 200 usually stamped right on it. So
what's a deal breaker for you? Like if you're looking at a rental property.
if I'm not a hands-on, I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
So I am looking at it from the angle of I got to pay normal price to have somebody do the work and stuff like that. And then I have to keep an eye on it. So
Manage
things
it, yeah.
that take a lot of my time, so now I'm more like, like you sold me a condo.
The condo. Yeah.
It was right brand new.
Very easy,
So I
brand
didn't
new.
have to think about it none too hard,
Yeah.
in other words.
Yeah.
And but they also have a lot of used ones all the time, but they're always in good shape.
Yeah.
So, but fixer-uppers, it would almost have to be where I just knew I was going to completely remodel the whole thing, and then I could figure out the cost. Halfway remodel, it's hard to figure out the cost.
Okay.
So I like commercial.
Yeah.
I like commercial. I like buildings in the $300,000 to $800,000 range more than I like something for $3 million.
Yeah.
Because I like multiple tenants.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Because
You
you
know.
had a property in Milford. It was a commercial property, right?
Yes. Yeah. And
You
it's
were
got 2 or 3 buildings on
You
it.
bought it, and
Right.
now you're renting it out.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've got 2 tenants right this minute with another building vacant, and I'm going to put another 1 or 2 buildings on it. That one has turned out to be a very good investment.
This Wellers complex is huge. Okay, I don't think people realize that
you
across
mean
the
here?
yeah,
Well, just take here for example.
yeah.
In front of the building we're sitting in, there's an old 2-car garage. I bought that over the phone one day for $65,000.
The property in the garage.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
In the
It
front.
was a tire
Okay.
store.
Okay.
So the guy that owned it, I said, I'll give you $65,000, and he didn't want all the money. So I gave him $10,000 down, 10% interest for 10 years.
Because of tax, like you didn't want to pay the
He
taxes.
just
on
kind of
it?
wanted the income.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I bought that.
Okay.
All right. Then the piece where we're sitting now is 2 acres. I bought it for $75,000, and that man wanted to be paid right away.
Okay.
Okay, so now I got 2 1/4 acres right here on this point. Then across the street, there's a 16-acre field that I went to rent it. It was farmland, and I went to the realtor that was representing it, and I said, I just want to rent it, and I'll pay more than farmland price. I just want to rent it. He said, make him an offer. They were asking $250,000. I offered them like $65,000 or $75,000.
Holy moly! Yeah.
He said, make an offer.
Right.
And
There's
they
your
took it.
offer. They took
And
it.
again, $10,000 down, 10% for 10 years.
He wanted the payments.
He wanted the payments
Yeah.
and wanted to be done with it.
You never know until you ask.
Well, here's what I've learned. You don't ever get any of the shots you never take.
That's right. Yeah.
So you got to be, and I'm not arrogant about it. I usually say it like this. If you wake up one day and you decide you want to sell that field for $75,000, I'm ready.
There you go.
I'll take it. I don't try to say it's only worth that. I don't try to make you feel bad
Right.
for what you have or what you're even asking.
Yeah, I think
other
some people
words,
do take it emotionally, but it's what you're willing to pay. That's
right.
it.
I
Bottom
mean,
line.
money has no emotion and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
In other words, and so I bought some bloopers. I got my
Tell us about the bloopers.
oh my gosh. Okay. There were 4 building lots that were for sale from a friend of ours. And he said, I want $75,000 each and they all perk. He said, I've got 1 of them perked or 2 of them perked, but I just haven't had the money to get the rest of it done.
Oh no. Okay.
So I bought all 4 lots and I used money that I borrowed from somebody else. So I didn't get any inspections. I didn't even get it surveyed. And lot number 4 to this day has still not perked. and he has spent the money, and the only way I get it, sue him, and I'm not big on suing people.
Okay.
So my wife has often said to me, well, what are you going to, I said, that is just my college education.
So, yeah,
That
you paid for the education.
$75,000 is my college education.
Now you will
That
get a
was
survey
right
on
in the
land.
future. Right. So I buy a little differently
Yeah,
now, in other words.
yeah.
But I am used to buying things just kind of, but I'm slowing down on it a little bit. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Don't worry. Because that's how I bought, I bought the property in Lincoln, $45,000. I walked out the back door. This is where the tire store was. I said, I'll take 20 feet from this wall to there, and I'll take 20 feet on this side. And that was how we decided how much I was going to buy, and I'll give you $45,000. Well, then I found out I didn't buy enough land to ever be able to replace the septic system.
Yeah. Wow.
Dumb me. But I was a kid.
Yeah. How are you going to know that?
How would I know?
Yeah.
In other words,
But you still took action and took the risk.
Absolutely.
And moved forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And then right next to it, I wanted to build onto the building, but I didn't own enough land, so I had to pay like $20,000 for 5 feet of land.
For 5 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I bought the corner. This is all in Lincoln. I bought the corner at a sheriff's sale, where for 3 or 4 years I kept trying to buy it. And the bank said, we're not ready to take this big of a loss. There was a lot of money owed compared to what it was worth. And then one day they said, we're gonna put it up for sheriff's sale. And I bought that corner.
Wow.
And then going into Lincoln, the people, their parents passed away, and they sold me the land there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of land to make up that Lincoln corner, which is getting ready to be a Wawa.
And it's a pending deal,
it's a done deal as long as every permit. They're not buying it for speculation.
Yeah.
They have told me beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are not going to buy that unless every single permit we need, right down to a hand towel dispenser.
Right. Well, they have a specific reason for it, so they
And
want to
no
make
other
sure it
reason.
works.
And
Yeah.
no other reason. So
Yeah.
that's that. But I bought properties all over,
Yeah, and it sounds like you've done auctions, seller financing, sheriff sale.
Yeah.
You've hit all commercial
Yeah.
with the tenants and residential tenants.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy educating others on that process, or
No, because everybody's an expert before I explain anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a property up in Greenwood that
Yeah.
I bought, and I rented it to a church that opened a thrift store.
Okay.
And they went to getting all their permits and stuff, and DelDOT took the entrance away. And I'm like, how do you do that? This was my first experience learning about entrances.
Yeah,
well,
on the highway.
Commercial property. Yeah, because it had one on the side.
That's the one they want you to use then.
And then they were like, you're going to put a curb out there, and we compromised. I could put up a fence to make it very clear no entrance was there.
Wow.
Yeah. But so many people think, if you buy a property and it's commercial, that the entrance is good. It's not good.
You got to check.
You got to check. Even when a tenant moves out and you're renting it, because you could have a property that somebody rents it and they're using it for storage and they're there once a day. Somebody else might want to rent it and they might want to have a church, and they're going to let 200 people out of church within 15 minutes.
All that, yeah.
Entering the highway.
Yeah.
And I've learned all that. I've learned about the fire marshal. Doors are supposed to swing out, not swing in.
Yeah.
I remember he said, do you want me to show you a video of people that aren't thinking to back up 3 feet to open a door in a fire?
Yeah.
And I said no, and so
I'll just take your word for it.
I'll take your word for it, and I'll make all my doors swing out.
Right, I'll fix it.
So there's just been so many things that I've learned, But when I try to give advice, everybody then feeds me back what they think they know.
I think that sometimes people ask questions, and then you have already been there.
They
the
don't
real
hear it.
deal. Then it sounds a little bit overwhelming.
Yes, it does.
But,
and it sounds unbelievable.
Right.
Like
it can't
they
be.
think I was targeted.
Yeah.
Like I'm the only one that had to go through that.
Yeah, you're the only one dealing with the fire marshal code.
Correct. Right here at Ridgeville, the property up front that I bought for the $65,000, it's on a point.
Yeah.
Well, there is like 3 different setbacks. So if that building ever comes down, guess what you can build? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So that building stays.
Right. But, people don't understand that and so on. So I have been very fortunate also. I feel the Lord has always connected me with good attorneys, good people that know engineering, things like that. I bought a red barn on Route 16 in Ellendale that was owned by Sam Yoder.
Where the billboard is now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's where Dry Zone is. Okay.
So you sold it.
So I bought it. I bought it at auction. Okay. And when I bought it, I didn't even plan on buying it. I didn't plan on buying it. I went there. Sam Yoder had shared with me that there was a fair amount of money owed, and it would probably take $1 million to buy it. Okay. I go to the auction, and it's just getting started. And so I bid. And then just like one or two people bid a little bit. And I bought that 6 point some acres and that building for $250,000.
It's a big building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10,000 square feet
Yeah.
for $250,000.
Not the million.
Well, not the million.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, as I bought it, doesn't matter. They're not going to sell it. There's
Right.
too much owed against it.
Right. They're not going to take the
Okay,
loss.
just because I was the winning bidder, the bank still had to approve it.
Right.
Well, they come back out from a meeting right there and then and said, yeah, you're going to sell it.
They wanted to just let it go.
Yeah.
They wrote it off.
And so then they had just sold the house next door. So then they put them together and had another auction right then and there. And so then I had to pay $350
For the house?
because I had to get the house and the building.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But anyway, that building had mold literally dripping off the walls.
Oh, the M word.
I'd never seen anything like it in my life. You took your hand and your hand's all slimy with mold. Anyway,
Wow.
it wasn't zone commercial.
Well, now it makes sense that Dry Zone bought it. Did they
Yeah,
clear-
because that's
what they
right,
do.
Right. So, but no, Dry Zone rented it for 9.5 years. So in
Wow.
other words, and I cleaned it all up before them.
Yeah,
I
sure,
dealt with all
sure.
the mold, and I got its own commercial, but that cost.
It wasn't commercial.
Oh no,
Okay.
it was not commercial.
So you had to go through that zoning
'Cause
process.
There was a conditional use, and the conditional use. See, again, this is where people
Yeah.
presume.
Yeah.
So since somebody had a conditional use, that it just moves forward. Well, I
No.
wasn't having a meat market in a
It
supermarket.
has to be the same.
Same thing.
business.
And that still has to be approved.
Right, and that will
So-
expire.
Yes,
Yeah.
it expires. You have to renew it. So I got it actually zoned C1.
How
Very
fun was
strong.
that?
It was $100,000 worth of fun.
Oh, that's
In
fun.
other words, between the mold and the getting it zoned,
Yeah.
and it took a year and a half
Yeah.
to get it approved. But and then Dry Zone rented it, and they rented it, and their business has grown there, and they've been good for me. And I mean, it was a game changer. I tell them all the time. I said, "You changed my life," and they said, "Well, you changed ours too."
Right.
In other words, you were. I think I was a good landlord, and I've advertised for them and supported them, and they do a phenomenal job. They need
Yeah.
no defending. Dry
Yeah.
Zone is number one in the field.
Yeah.
So
Crawl space, stuff like that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. They really know what they're doing, and so that was a real blessing. A real
Yeah.
blessing. Not
So
just
they
a
rented
good
from
deal.
you for a long time, 9
then bought
years,
it.
and then bought it.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I put an electronic billboard up there.
Yeah,
so
and
the
that's
billboard's
yours.
still
It's
mine, but the
yours.
land is theirs.
Yeah,
So
billboard space is available.
Yep, billboard space is available. So, so it's been very interesting. I mean, I could just tell you story after story
Do you
after
enjoy
story.
seeing that success of other
Oh, big time.
from Dry
Yes, I don't
Zones?
want to be the only one to succeed.
Yeah.
I liked being part of Dry Zone's growth. I advertised for them. I was a cheerleader for them and still am.
Yeah.
Getting ready to do something to another house with them. In
And
other
we
words,
see
so-
that in your radio show, Weller Does
Yes.
Delmarva, and then Fine Day show, that you always have businesses on and are promoting other businesses.
Or
Your business-
nonprofits.
Yeah, your business yourself. However,
Right.
you can see that you enjoy other people being successful.
I love prosperity.
Yeah.
And I don't want it just for me.
Yeah.
I'm not greedy. I just like challenges more than I like the money, but the money comes with every challenge.
Yeah, I feel that a little bit. It's always a thought of mindset changing. If you want something, there's plenty of money out there. I think people
Right.
think that there's this limited funds available, but there's a lot of money out there, and you just gotta go get it.
But it's really just a reaping and a sowing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So what you reap, what you sow into other people, what you do, so you mentioned Weller Does Delmarva. I want to just say the whole reason that show started is because here at Weller's, more people walk through the door asking for a donation than I could possibly afford to give to.
Yeah.
And I said, how can I help them? I'm kind of known for spreading the word. I'm kind of known for being encouraging and giving and things like that. So I started a radio show.
Yeah, you do have a lot of nonprofits on
Oh
there
my
and stuff
gosh.
that have
It's
events and fundraisers.
Endless.
Yeah.
I was looking the other day. We've done it 652 times. And I was thinking of the thousands of times we've had nonprofits on
Yeah.
over those 12 years. And so what it turned into was I could stroke you a check for $200 or $500 and you'd be on your way. Or I can give you an interview on the show that will be far greater.
Right, more people.
Correct.
Right.
And so, and I don't even know if all nonprofits realize I consider it a donation. In
Yeah.
other words, it's me donating something to you that the guy that can
The
only stroke
time
you a
and
check.
yeah.
See, I limitless.
Yeah.
If I give you an interview to promote an event or promote your organization or something like that, it's not only on 2 radio stations, it's also on TV. It's
Right.
also
TV
recorded
Delmarva.
and
Yeah.
captured on Facebook.
Yeah.
So then the nonprofit can go and take that segment and use it again and again and again. They could put it on their Facebook page. They could put it on their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
They
I've
could
got
put
my
it on their
segment pinned
website.
right at the top of the page.
Right. And it,
But yeah, like if somebody, so if they come in here and you're like, I'll just give them $200
It's over.
donation, it's over. On the show, if 100 people give $100, that's a lot more.
or if more people know, more people want to volunteer, more people want to get
Yeah.
involved. Yes, it's far more
Or they need
reaching.
the help. Maybe they need the help from
Correct.
that company. Yeah.
So, so I really feel that that's a thing God put together because, when we started the show, it was 1 hour long. Now it's 2 hours long. Went from being just on radio to on radio and TV. It's on TV Delmarva, to also being on about a half a dozen Facebook pages, to also being on YouTube, to also being live inside of a restaurant.
Yeah. You can show up live and network.
So we're talking about yes, the
Yeah.
networking is going real good. So it's not just about me. I want to do a good job. I want to treat people fair. Used to be I want to be treated like they would treat me. I don't always want that because how people will treat you is not how you really want to be treated.
Yeah. I
know.
agree with that. I mean,
know.
I've said that a lot. Like it's how they want to be treated. Like
Right.
not, I might
But I
be.
want to be fair. I want
Right.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Man, I do got to share with everybody. There's a movie everybody should watch called Flywheel.
Flywheel. What is that
Okay.
about?
Oh my gosh. It started out, I watched a thing on YouTube about a guy who made the movie Courageous. He also made one, The War Room. He also made one, The Forge. Anyway, and he talked about how he always wanted to be a movie producer. And his first one, his church did it. So it's one of them hokey church, homemade type movies.
Okay.
Anyway, and it's called Flywheel. And it's all about this used car dealer that sold cars for more than they were really worth.
Okay.
But he made people feel good about it. Okay? Feel good about overpaying.
Okay.
Okay? Because they bought out of emotion.
Well,
Okay?
yeah.
So anyway, then he got convicted, not criminally convicted in his heart by the Lord.
Okay.
That this is wrong.
Yeah.
This is wrong. You're gypping people. You're taking advantage of people. And so he said, I'm going to lower my prices and I'm going to treat people fairly. Well, his 2 salesmen immediately quit. You're taking food off my family's. I mean, you should have seen them.
Right.
They were just so good at acting, for this first movie.
And this
that
was a
group
a church put on? Or-
Yeah, they made the movie.
Yeah, okay.
And then it's the guy starts selling cars at a fair price, but he's not making enough money.
Yeah.
And then, just some things happen where a guy came in and did this undercover story about this guy, worked for him for free, just said he was a college, but he was really just spying on, he was doing an undercover story on used car lots and how they operate. So the news breaks. This guy never knew this guy was undercover till he was watching it on TV. And his lot, the guy said, of all the places we went, this guy was fair and honest. The guy was behind with the bank. He was behind with his mortgage. He was behind on
I bet
his
that
floor
brought
plan.
a ton of business.
Well, that's what happened. The bank was getting ready to foreclose. They gave him till Friday. And his wife kept telling him, if you would just trust in the Lord, if you would just trust in the Lord. And he said, well, we would have to sell 30 cars in one day.
Time's ticking here. We're
Yeah,
trying to trust
right.
in the Lord, but
Right. You just wish he didn't trust you that much. So anyway, so he goes to work and the place is mobbed with people. And he sold 30 cars in one day or whatever the number needed to be.
Yeah.
And so the guy from the bank comes to, take all the cars back. And they were all gone. They were sold.
They were
And
sold. Here's
right.
the money.
But then another news thing got up with the guys that left him, and they lied about him and said, he was awful and deceitful and all
The devil
this.
creeping in.
Right.
Yeah.
So they did this live news story that the guy didn't know they were going to do. He's sitting there like, and so then people drove down there while the news people were packing up and said, let me tell you what he did. He went to everybody that he gypped and gave him the money back. But he never got a chance to tell that in the news story because she only wanted the negative side of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just was really it's really made me, because when you become a Christian, you're not dealing based on your own logic any longer. You're dealing with what would be pleasing to God
Yeah.
in this transaction. What would God have me do?
Yeah, I say
In
that a
other
lot.
words,
That's not honoring God. Like
correct.
let's make
But
that
it's
decision based on what would honor God. What would make him
correct.
happy.
Right. In other words, because when you're not a Christian, you are strictly making every decision based on you.
Right.
What do I want? What am I willing to
What
do?
am I getting out of it?
Right. If it's not illegal, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. But there's a big line between illegal, immoral, not pleasing to
Yeah.
God, and so on. And then when you become a Christian, you no longer are living for yourself.
Right.
Every decision you make is heaven bound.
Yeah.
You know, and I have it out here. People will get upset if they don't get the deal they want. As a Christian, you're not supposed to give it all away either.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have a balance.
God
Everything
wants
is about
us to
balance.
be, yeah.
Good stewards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stewards. And the first thing people will say when they don't get the deal they want, I thought you were a Christian. Well, what in the world's that got to do with you being able to get a deal that I lose money?
Yeah.
What's that got? You know, if you need a donation, then talk differently. Say, I just need you to donate this.
Yeah.
Give it to me, but don't make me feel bad because I want to please God.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hate to say it, but I'm a happy Christian man. I enjoy what the Lord has allowed me to walk through.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to know that I'm never alone.
Yeah.
And so on. So real estate, it's been a good thing. I want to say that it's a good thing. Nothing is a sure thing other than salvation.
That's right. Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know of any other sure things that exist.
Then real estate.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. But real estate has been good. So I want to just say this in the real estate conversation side of this is if you're looking for something to get into, I had somebody, I've introduced you to them, the gentleman that called you recently. He flies a helicopter for a living all day long, and he's bought himself one property that he and his wife have made a rental, and now he's constantly looking for more.
Yeah.
And so, he's doing the same thing. He's using this to leverage this, and so on. So real estate is worth looking at.
Yeah.
If you're a do-it-yourselfer, then yes, you have a little advantage over what I would do because I'm not a do-it-yourselfer.
Yeah.
But, be cautious. Get with somebody that's going to be honest. I believe Renee has been very honest with me. So you will even say this is not something you really want to get into, in other words, So.
Walk away.
Walk away, run if necessary.
Let's get out of here.
So because I don't even know if this interview was supposed to be about Renee or real estate or who in the world's Jim Weller and
who's Jim
why
Weller?
in the world does everything he touched seem to work out? And everything I touch doesn't work out.
Yeah, there's
There's
behind the
been
scenes
many,
stuff that
many things I would say I wish I had done that. But it takes those.
yeah. The education. Yeah.
Right. I mean, somebody told me one time, do you know how they make gold? And I'm like, I don't know how they make gold. And they said, well, it takes a lot of heat.
Yeah. Pressure.
It takes a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And you have to scum off the scum.
Yeah.
So as they're making gold, but when it's done, when you can see your reflection in it.
Yeah. The shiny
And that's
piece.
what being a Christian is about. When you operate your life and you operate your business in a way that when somebody looks at you, they see Christ-like character.
Right.
That they can see his reflection in your words, in your thoughts, in your action, and in your deeds.
Yeah, like there's going to be pressure.
Right.
There's always going to be this pressure,
gonna
but
be
how you
heat.
react to that
gonna
is
be
what people
heat.
are watching.
Yes.
People are watching like, oh,
Yes.
she's not really upset about that. Why?
Right. Or is
Well,
he
that's
cursing God? Or,
Yeah.
In other words,
God's fault. People say
Yeah,
that,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know people that have got financially in trouble with credit cards.
Yeah.
And they blame it on the credit card company for giving them to them. I'm like, whoa, because, it just, I guess it's easy to do that. In other words, and I've gotten into deals where I'm like, oh man. And let me just tell you about prayer, something I've learned. I have refinanced my house so many times, it's unbelievable. Denise used to say, will this house ever get paid off? Because I always used it as collateral.
Yeah.
Our home,
Get the cash
you know what I
out
mean?
for something else.
And so many times I've refinanced and got loans and I would say, Lord, just make this loan work out. Just make this loan work out. And one day it dawned on me that my prayer should have been, Lord, if it's your will,
Yeah.
make this loan work out.
Yeah.
Because I have been somebody that's kind of known for leveraging debt to make money. I've done well with that. I've used debt to make money, in other words. And so I've been very fortunate. But now I'm more about, Lord, if it's your will for me to do this.
Yeah.
And if it's not, shut the door so tight that the stubbornness in me,
It makes it easy.
yeah,
Just
that
very clear.
I can't
Yeah.
figure out a way.
Yeah.
Protect me from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Protect me from me. So
Yeah, I think that too. Like we want things for us, but we
Yes.
have to. And anymore, when there's a bigger decision that has to be made, I step back and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let me talk to the Lord
Yes.
about this.
Yes.
Let me talk to my,
yeah. That movie's a great movie. You should watch it.
Flywheel. So where can we find this movie?
I had to pay $3.99 to watch it on Amazon.
Okay, so Amazon.
Yep.
That's not bad. Okay,
Yep.
I'm gonna watch it.
It's a good investment. Flywheel. Oh, but then there's a whole list of the movies, that this guy has made. So
okay.
Look up the guy because his movies have gotten much better. Much
Okay,
better.
this is an older one.
Yeah. In other words, this was their first one. It was like in 400 something p. He was saying, because it's fuzzy. You're like, whoa, this is a.
Was it 90s that he made this?
I think so. Yeah.
The 90s.
Yeah. But it was a great one. It was called Flywheel. So Courageous was another good one. I really liked it. And
Okay, well,
Forbes. These are all good. They're not
real
all
life things that people deal with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people think
tragedy, heartache, overcoming.
people being Christians are just some kind of perfect thing.
Oh,
and
right,
it's
right,
not.
right.
Yeah. We're all
it's a
work in
We're
progress.
A work in progress.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And but the rewards are out of this world.
That's right.
They're
Yeah, they really
eternal.
literally.
They literally are. What else you got there,
So,
Renee?
what types of property are you interested in now?
Okay, I got a couple things coming up. Let's talk about 1031.
Okay, yeah, that's fun.
1031. So
Have you done 1031?
I have. I've done a couple. I don't know if I told you this story. I had a house in Milton one time.
Okay, I don't remember
And
Milton.
a man cut down all the trees in the backyard, unbeknownst to me.
The tenant?
No.
Okay.
The farmer with the field behind it.
Oh, that didn't own the property
Right.
that the trees were on?
Right.
Okay.
And so I got up with him, and he said, well, if you look that up on the county's thing, that belongs to the building next door. I said, no, it doesn't. I looked it up, and it did. The county had it wrong. So he went to the building next door and said, do you mind if I cut down those trees? They're leaning over the field and stuff like that. And they said, yeah. So he cut them down, and my tenant's inside saying, somebody's cutting down your trees. I'm like, ain't nobody cutting down my trees.
Right.
Anyway, so that was
were.
my first, yeah. So anyway, I went and talked to the guy, and he's like, well, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? What can I do? I can't.
They're gone.
Right, they're gone. And I said, yeah. I said, it's okay or whatever. And then he said, well, I'd like to buy the property.
Oh,
And
okay.
I come up with a figure. I just reached right up there and came up with a figure. And he bought it. And that was
Wow.
my first 1031.
Okay.
That was my first 1031. So it was it was a rental house in Milton.
So those that don't know, the 1031 exchange
Avoids.
avoids the capital gains tax.
Yes,
For a bit.
Right. So let's say I bought this place for, I don't know, $250,000, and let's say I sold it for $450,000.
Okay. So you have that gain.
A gain of $200,000.
Yeah.
Okay. You would have to pay a tax called capital gain. I don't know exactly what it is, but let's say it's at least 25%.
Right.
Okay.
Probably.
So what's 25% of 200,000? That sounds like $50,000.
Right.
Okay. So I would have had to pay $50,000 in taxes on the gain.
Right.
Okay.
So really then you've only made 150. Yeah.
Right. But I've helped some people by paying the taxes. Okay. So with that said, and I don't mind paying taxes, let me say that. But I mean, through the course
Everybody
of
does
business, I pay
1031s.
plenty of taxes
Yeah.
in a year. So the 1031 is called a like-kind exchange. So when you sell the property, you don't get the money in your hand. It goes to, I think it's called an intermediary.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
Yep.
They hold
like a
your
third
money.
party. Yeah.
And then you have so many days to identify one or two properties that you say, I'm going to then use that money to buy something else.
Yeah.
So I sold this house in Milton, and then I went ahead and bought this piece of property right across the street here.
Okay.
It was wonderful.
So there was
It was
no
like
tax.
God ordained. It was amazing.
There it is,
Been trying to
available.
buy this property for 10 years, and in the
And
middle
then
of
it came
all
up.
that, it came up. Okay. So anyway, it avoided the tax because I never kept the money.
You moved it from
I-
one investment to another.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing. Dry Zone bought that red barn. In other words, so I did it there. There I bought 4 or 5 properties. I've got it coming up again. I'm selling a building in Ellendale. I might not have even told you about this, but I'm selling a building in Ellendale.
You're building by the billboard?
Yeah.
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 Oh,
And,
yeah. I think you said you were thinking about that.
Well, he's doing it.
Now it's a deal.
Yeah, now it's a
Okay.
deal. So
Okay.
anyway, so now I've got that to invest. In other words, and then when I sell the corner in Lincoln to Wawa, I'll need to invest there. So what it does is it just helps you not. So people say, well, why would you do that? Why don't you just take the money and run? Well, I like to make money with money.
The cash
I
flow.
don't take it and run.
Yeah.
I don't own a plane. I do own a little boat. But anyway, I don't own a vacation house in Florida. I don't want to take the money and run. I want to keep, because what I'm doing now, this is another thing at 67 years old, I'm working on generational wealth for my children and grandchildren.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what my focus is today, is to prepare the future for my kids and so on and so forth. Okay.
Yeah. Your family can inherit that, and
they
they
can
always
get
have
years-
income.
They have income. Now, whenever they decide they want to sell it, they'll pay the capital gains, okay?
Right.
But they will have made some rental income off of it in the meantime.
Very smart.
So,
Yeah.
So, and I'm training the kids, just like, for example, I'm building 5 new houses in Seaford, which then I will get rid of 5 older houses.
Yeah.
So these houses, my kids will end up with 5 fairly new houses, depending on how much
Don't need a lot of
longer.
work or updates
Correct.
or anything.
Right. They're
Yeah.
all brand new. I'm building 5 houses. I'm so excited. Like, I never thought I'd get a piece of land where I could have 5 houses elbow to elbow.
Yeah. Do you want like your own Weller community?
Yeah, Wellerville.
Wellerville. Okay.
Wellerville.
Wellerville sounds
Right.
nice.
There's Wellmarva. There's Wellerville.
Well, Marv.
So anyway, so that's what a 1031, and you need a good attorney for that. There's people that
There's
specialize
lots of little
in
rules
it.
about that,
Yes,
right? You have to
there's
make
a
sure
lot
you're
of rules.
following.
Yep, and you have to do it in so much time and
Yeah.
things like that. I don't think you can buy a piece of land and then build a building. I think it has to be pretty much like if you're selling something that was rented. So that's coming up.
Something that's rentable.
Right, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming to me because you don't get bargains when you have to buy in a hurry.
Right.
Might
It
get
gets
a fair deal.
little bit of pressure
but
again.
yes,
Yeah.
So I'm going to have it twice this year. So anyway.
You're going to be on the hunt for something.
Right. Well, the building I'm selling right now, I didn't plan on it. I didn't think it was going to happen. So I'm selling this building in Ellendale.
The one in Ellendale.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You're keeping your billboard though. Your billboard's
Yes,
right
yep,
there.
yep.
Another
And-
billboard opportunity.
Yep. So I got 2 billboards. Right. And I'll be selling them one of these days.
Really?
Probably as a business.
Yeah.
Somebody will probably buy both those billboards. The nice thing is they'll never have to pay land rent. I've got
Okay.
lifetime permanent easements on those properties.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so, but billboard has to be on commercial property, right?
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
electronic billboards has many stipulations.
Yeah, because of the light and.
Speaking of learning, I mean, the first one we were going to put up was right here at Weller's in Bridgeville.
Okay.
And the gentleman who worked for the Department of Transportation laughed at us. He said, "You guys don't know what you're doing. You can't put it here. It can't be within 1,500 feet of an intersection." I said, "Well, there's the light. Let's move it 15." He said, "Well, there's a road right over there. It'd be too close to that road." He said, "You'd have to put it over here in the middle of the field."
I would think an intersection would be a great place for a
That's
billboard.
where you want one, right? But the electronic billboards, I guess Delaware has some type
Yeah.
of a thing where it could be distracting, and you don't want to be distracted at an intersection.
Yeah, they're sitting there watching the billboard.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway,
Yeah.
we learned a lot with that. I mean, we were ready. I mean, we didn't have the billboard ordered, but
Yeah.
we were ready. So I've learned a lot with the billboards.
Yeah.
You know.
I think in Delaware too, I don't know if you've experienced this, but for the most part, I would say 80-90% of the time when I call a county office or any county, planning and zoning, any of that, I always get a great amount of help.
Yes. Yes.
I get my questions answered. They're not stupid questions to them.
Right.
They don't get tired of me calling.
No, it's their job.
Yeah, it's always a helpful, friendly person on the other end. And I don't know what other states are like because I haven't lived there.
Right.
But I could just say anytime, and maybe for that guy with the billboard, he was educating you as well.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Before I spent any more money, he was letting me know.
Yeah.
You know, and I agree with what you're saying because in Delaware,
Yeah.
everybody is pretty much kind of knows everybody or wants to be helpful. It's why people are moving here in droves.
Yeah, people
They,
are.
They love the environment. I mean, we're good people.
Yeah, we are.
We're good people here, everybody.
Delaware is great.
Yeah. So, but the billboards were another thing. 1031 is another thing, and
So I know we could talk a long time. We're almost into an hour here, so I'll leave
Are we
one
really?
last question. Yeah.
Okay.
How do you balance being that business owner, the investor, the media personality, and your personal life?
Well, I've learned this late in life.
Yeah.
My wife at one point informed me that she always felt second to Wellers.
Okay.
I was either too arrogant or preoccupied with Wellers to not recognize that. So since she informed me of that, I have made sure that whatever anybody wants to do, if it pertains to my family, we're going to do it.
Okay.
So I make it a priority.
The
In
family
other
is a
words.
priority.
Right.
How long
The
have you been
family is
married?
right. Oh my gosh, here we go. I was married, I think, in
You do some math.
1980, maybe. I'm thinking it's getting ready to be 48 years.
Okay.
48 years. We were teenagers.
Yeah, I thought so.
I met her at the roller rink. I
Okay.
skated by and said, "Do you want to go out on
In
couples?"
Dover?
Yeah.
Okay.
There used to be a bus that would go from Milford to the roller rink. She lived in Little Creek.
Okay.
So I think her sister brought her to the roller rink, and I rode the bus. We met there. I used to ride my bike from Milford to Little Creek to see her. People were like,
How
"Man."
long did that take?
I don't remember because I was
It
just
didn't
in
matter.
love. Right.
It didn't matter.
I was mesmerized, In
Aw.
other words, yeah.
So
So
was
in
she
other words,
friendly from the beginning? Like, was she like, oh,
somewhat.
I like this guy? And
Sort of, yeah.
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 Or did you grow
Um,
on her?
I might have growed on her, but it didn't take long.
It didn't take long.
No,
Okay.
I'm quite the salesman.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, we met and then we got married. I don't remember exactly. We got married on an Easter Sunday.
Oh, okay.
The tomb was in the background at Holy Cross Church
In Dover?
in all the pictures.
Yeah. Wow.
The tomb
So
was
it was
empty,
Easter.
though.
Yeah, the tomb
It
was
was
empty. It was
Yeah,
empty.
So, but we got married on Easter Sunday. I remember we were too young to even rent a car to go on a honeymoon. I had trucks, but not
So
a car.
you were under 18.
No,
Or
I
you were
think
just
might have been
18. Maybe you needed to
21.
be 21.
Yeah, and I remember a
okay.
friend of mine named John Burris, who owned Kenton Sussex Tire. He was a state rep, and he let us borrow his station wagon to go on our honeymoon.
Aw.
How nice.
Where'd you go?
Ocean City.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
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 And I think we just talked about it last night. We stayed at the Sheraton Inn. And then our first anniversary, I think we went and stayed at the Carousel and ice skated.
Okay. Yeah. So from the roller rink to the ice skating rink.
Right. Yeah.
When you were married.
Yeah. So we've been married a long time, got 3 kids, got 6 grandkids now.
So
Very
the
exciting.
grandkids, are they picking up on this investment and business?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I have yes.
Okay.
Yep. I have a grandson, Brody, who he and I are going to start learning how to trade stock.
Oh, that's cool.
I have no idea how to even start, but that's the next thing he and I are getting ready to
So
do.
investing,
He's into
yeah.
coins, so he looks at coins a lot and things like that.
Has he gotten
Uh,
any, because we did this for some time, is go to the bank and get the rolls of quarters or pennies and
Well,
then start
I
inspecting
accumulate
them?
enough coins
Okay.
that I stay way ahead of him.
Okay.
In other
He doesn't
words,
need to do that.
Right. But in other words, so
Okay.
he looks through the coins. He does that. Do you know what a star bill is?
Yeah.
Okay, so he started collecting those.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a bill that has a star at the end of the serial number. And I
Yeah.
think it means that
Star certificate, like.
Yeah, but I think it means that the original bill was defective and got thrown away, and this is a duplicate, I think. So he collects those.
How's he find that? Like just.
Looking through my wallet and things like that. In other words, his mom's money, his sister's money. I think one sister works at a restaurant and brings home a lot of $1
Okay.
bills from
All right.
tips and stuff. So, but anyway, so I have another grandchild that has a chunk of money in the bank. She has saved a lot of money working. When my kids were younger and they worked, I made them a deal. I said, if you'll save half of whatever you make, I'll supply you with a vehicle.
Okay.
But I won't give it to you. In other words, it'll always be my vehicle. So when
Okay.
you get married and stuff, that vehicle's not yours.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I just said, you need to save half of everything you make, and I'll give you a vehicle to ride in. And so that worked out pretty good. So
And they
all my
had
kids
their
kinda
money saved
had a good
and-
start.
Yeah.
A good start. So I have one granddaughter who is married. She's doing well, very budget-minded, married a man that's not big on debt. I love it. In other words,
Yeah.
they're both
Money
workers.
mindset.
Right. In
Yeah.
other words, they both started out with no debt, cars paid for,
Yeah.
renting an apartment. I have another granddaughter who works, who's got money in the bank, going to college, and her car is paid for. So I'm very proud of them, in other
Yeah,
words,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And they're interested. Like it sounds like Brody is more interested,
Yes.
and you guys are going to start learning about investing. in
Yes, we're
stocks.
ready. It's just a
Yeah.
matter, we got to sit down and figure out which one to start with and start doing it,
Yeah, yeah.
So he's interested in all that. He understands about buying and selling things and things like that, but so Brody's doing good.
We
All
gotta.
the
If we
grandkids
ever
are-
go looking at, when we go looking at commercial properties or whatever, we need to bring him along.
It wouldn't hurt,
Yeah.
yeah. Because my family, Denise, fortunately, has been able to take care of the children and raise them and take care of the grandkids. And fortunately, she's not had to have a job away from home.
Yeah.
So she had one job for a brief period of time. She worked at Dunkin' Donuts
Oh my gosh.
because her parents said for them to furnish her with a car.
Where, in Milford
Dover.
or Dover?
Dover, because
Okay.
she lived in Little Creek.
Okay.
But I think very soon after she turned 16, I bought her a car.
Okay. You
It
mean
was a
she didn't have to
Pinto,
work at Dunkin'
because
Donuts.
I needed her to be ready to go out when I was ready to go out. You know?
Not work at Dunkin' Donuts.
I've been working at Dunkin' Donuts, and we've had a wonderful life.
So that
Very
took that
fortunate.
whole deal off the table.
Yes.
You bought the car.
It's
She didn't
been-
have to be at Dunkin'
correct.
Donuts. That's
Yes.
so funny.
Yes,
So it sounds like you make family a priority.
Yes, I
If
did.
something's coming up
Right.
with
I
a
always
family.
felt that I did until I got that memo
Okay.
that Denise felt second. It bothered me. It really bothered me. So I try to tell everybody I know, everybody, in business, not in business, go-getter type people. I went to a seminar called The Man in the Mirror. I've been twice.
Okay.
I liked it so much I almost wanted to go teach it. It was made for pastors, leaders, people that, that can pick what they do next.
Yeah.
And the one thing that stuck with me was invest all your good time in who is going to weep at your funeral.
That's a good decision.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the people selling me trailers. It might be my realtor. But I'm just saying, focus all your good awake time and your thoughts on putting the people that are going to weep at your funeral first.
Yeah.
Another thing it taught me was that on your way home, find a spot in the road that from that moment forward, you start thinking about greeting your family and your spouse. Do not walk in the kitchen door on the phone.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Stop down the road and finish that call.
I don't
Because
do
the
that.
kids
Yeah.
are there. They want to show you what they did in school. Your wife is there. She wants to tell you about her day. In your case, it'd be Eric.
Yeah. The dog.
And the dog wants my dog scratching right
they want your
until I
attention. You're
squat
home.
down
They're
and pet
excited
her.
to see
Yes.
you. Yeah.
And I'm walking through the door saying, no, you're second now because I'm still on the phone.
Yeah. I've been
So-
doing that, I guess not even realizing it, but time is our most valuable asset. No, all this stuff
And
we
nothing
talked
says
about.
I love you to a child
Yeah.
like time.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
That's a good tip.
That's a good tip. So find a spot in the road that from that moment on, you're off the phone, you're thinking
You're in
about
family
greeting your
mode.
spouse. Yes, make them, because nobody likes to eat leftovers every night.
Yeah. And that's what you
So
are. If
that's
you're
what
coming
you're
in.
doing. You're giving your
Yeah.
family the leftovers.
Yeah.
Even when I ride in the vehicle and stuff, I try all I can to not get on the phone and have to make Denise listen to a business conversation.
It's being present
Right.
in that moment.
Right.
With what you're, if you're with Denise, then you're with Denise. And
Right. I might have to stop at McDonald's and take a longer than normal bathroom break to make that phone call.
finish those calls. But she don't have to hear about it.
She don't have to hear it. She doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Our spouses don't deserve it. They don't need it. I mean, I talk in my sleep, full, complete sentences.
Oh gosh. It's an energy shift, I think, too. If you're dealing with something about work and maybe it's negative, and then
Right.
you come in the house and now all of a sudden there's a negative energy that's present because
Right.
you kind of brought that in.
Right.
And I think our homes should be our
I try to do the
peaceful
same thing with
place.
my employees when they're on vacation. Now I'm trying not to even call them. In
Yeah.
other words, my daughters take cruises, so their phone won't work. But but anyway, that was a joke.
I'm big on that too. When people take off or take the time off,
Right.
like I was a nurse supervisor and
break.
stuff.
Right.
There was times that things happen in people's life. I don't want to be an extra worry to them about
Right.
their job or
Right.
if, as a supervisor at that point, I was always like, if you need to take off, take off. I
Right.
don't even care why. Like if you
Right.
have something going on, deal with
Because
it.
if we all knew we only had 6 months to live, we would do everything
It's
different
not a big
today.
deal. It wouldn't be a big deal.
And we
Yeah.
don't know that we have 6 months to live.
We don't know our next breath.
We're all dying every minute. You know it?
I don't want to end on that note.
Well, but it is the truth. I mean, in other words, I went to
your-
a funeral over the weekend.
Oh yes. I
And-
saw the
And
flyover.
the one thing that I was
Yeah.
reminded with again, the day you're born. God knows the day you're going to leave this earth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, what a heavy thought. In other words, and we need to live like today could be the last day.
Right. Be nice.
But
Don't
yet-
burn bridges.
right.
Don't,
End every conversation.
Yeah.
I had a friend recently, had his father pass away, and he called me. He said, I've been busy with this and so on. And I said, well, the next time you go visit him, you talk like it's the last time you're ever going to talk to him. Say
might
whatever
be.
you got.
Yeah.
And it was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he was like, wow, that was a good tidbit. In other words, if you want to tell somebody you love them, don't wait till the next time you talk to them.
Yeah.
In other words, Brody has got us all hugging each other.
Is he a
and
hugger?
telling us
Aw.
that we love you. In other words, we as parents were not big on that, Denise and I.
Yeah.
Was not a strong point. Now with Brody, it's a whole different thing.
He wants to hear it.
He wants to hear it.
He wants to feel it in the hug.
Yes.
It's got to be a good hug.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Aw.
So anyway, life is short. It's the next one that lasts forever.
Yeah. We live forever. Yeah.
Right. So I appreciate you, Renee, and I appreciate this time together here. I hope I've not been boring. I do not want to sound like I'm bragging. I am happy.
You're blessed.
I am blessed.
Yeah.
In other words, and I see my life moving. I've never read this book, but there is a book. Pastor Bill told me to read it, and I just never have. It's called Moving from Success to Significance.
Ah, okay.
Our life will shift at some point.
Yeah.
And we will move from success to significance. And I want my life to be a life of significance.
So the funeral that you attended, do you think that was significance?
It was unbelievable. It was for
have
Alan
heard.
Corman.
Yeah.
Alan Corman. I'll tell you what I thought about when we speak of Alan Corman. He is the guy that used to crop dust.
Yeah.
40-some years.
Yeah. Everybody has probably seen him.
What he has done for the farmer, I never realized. Farmer's got a field, can't get the tractor in it. Can't plow it.
Yeah.
Can't seed it. He can seed from a plane.
Yeah. Wow.
In other words,
That
wow.
puts food on the table.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a whole cycle of crop would have been missed.
Right.
I never thought of any of that stuff, So in other words,
It was beyond what we kind of think.
Right.
You
We're thinking just spraying for bugs.
Yeah.
Or something like that, but I never thought about the seeding a field, from a plane.
Yeah.
Cover crop, I guess they call it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Anyway, Alan Corman's funeral was amazing. It was good. It was very honorable. I liked how they spoke, because that's another thing. Another thing is how you live your dash. You know what that means?
The time or the date you were born, dash, the date you died.
Yep.
That
How
dash.
you live your dash.
Yeah.
So we can talk here about tires and wheels and trailers and
Investments. Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, at the end of our life, it is truly how we live our dash. What will people say at our funeral?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I know he had a great service. I didn't attend,
it was
but
really amazing.
I, saw the pictures, and it had to have been nice.
It was very memorable.
It had to have been nice, too, for his family to hear.
It was a send-off, too. Oh, all the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the stories that were told. So it was something,
Yeah.
I'm making notes. My daughters and I we talk openly all the time about how I want things.
How you want things handled?
Yes, yep. What to do the first day if I'm going. So in other words.
Is it going to be a live broadcast?
Well, there's going to be 2 more of them after I'm going. Somebody's going to have to do them, so.
Oh, goodness.
All
right, guys. So I appreciate the time. I think there's been a lot of insight here.
I hope so.
If somebody wants to get started or wants to get a little bit of motivation or inspiration, and it's out there for anybody to do. You didn't nobody handed anything to you.
Correct.
You put all the hard work in and are still putting in the hard work.
And I would say of the 2 greatest things I think the Lord has blessed me with as far as business more than salvation is an eye for opportunity.
Yeah.
But more important than just seeing the opportunity is the gumption to go after it.
To take action.
A
lot of people will look at the opportunity and be like, I could do this. Take the action.
Right. What's that saying? Nothing beats a try but a failure.
Yeah.
And you never fail until you fail to try.
All right.
So keep it going.
Yeah, and if anybody needs utility trailers, play sets,
a cardboard, a swing set.
Anything to do with outdoors, pretty much.
Yeah, we'll help you. If you want to buy property, call Renee. But Weller's Utility Trailers.
Weller's in Bridgeville.
Yeah.
Wellers.com.
Yeah.
Okay. It's all the information there. And tune in to Fine Day Radio.
Yeah. 102.3.
Every Wednesday, you're doing 10 to noon.
Just the first 2 of a month.
Oh, not every Wednesday.
Noon. But 10 to noon. And you can look me up on Facebook. I'm James J. Weller Jr. I used to be Jim Weller on Facebook.
Okay.
Now it has to match my driver's license.
Okay.
So I'm verified or whatever the words
are.
are.
You got verified. Okay.
Right, because with political stuff, you have to be. So anyway.
So if you tune in or if you go on Facebook, Fine Day has their own page too, your page. You'll see the interviews and the schedule.
Weller does Delmarva Saturday mornings. So that's every Saturday. So they can look that up on Facebook.
Every Saturday.
Yeah. I'm only 658 Facebook friend requests behind. Takes me a while.
But you can still
everything's
follow.
public.
You can
And
still
everything's
follow.
public.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you can
yeah.
see it. I just noticed the other day I had somebody bring it up. You know, they asked you 2 years ago to be your friend. Are you going to get on with it or what? So I have my own little research I do before I.
Well, you got to be careful. There's so many scammers,
agree.
and if you don't have a Facebook picture, I'm not accepting your friend request.
Okay.
You have to have
That's
a picture.
that's a good thing.
You have to put
Yeah.
that effort in. I got to see your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
want to
there's
see your high school diploma.
yeah, we have to vet these
So.
people. So yeah. But anyway, yeah. So very interesting.
This has been great, though.
Yeah, I appreciate.
How does somebody get in on this?
So
Do you have any more openings, or are you not looking for any more people? Is this
look
the
at-
last one ever?
This is not the last one ever, but you can contact me. So,
Okay.
Renee Edge, I'm an associate broker with Keller Williams Realty, and starting a new team, the Edge
Are you
team
really?
of Keller Williams.
The Edge team.
Yeah. So, I'll put
You'll always be on the cutting edge.
the
with
cutting
Renee.
edge, yeah, edge in real estate.
Okay.
But
And she can be edgy.
if I need to be.
Rumors say. All right.
But yeah, I'll put all of our contact info in the description too.
Okay.
But Keller Williams Realty, office number 302-360-0300. But my direct cell, and especially if you want to get on the podcast,
Oh, yeah.
share your story, talk about business, talk about real estate. My cell is 302-535-5599.
Oh, 302
535
59
5599.
55.99.
Yeah. It's like a price tag.
55.99.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, very good.
All right.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
watching. Yep.
See y'all. Bye.